right, maybe you are here for us to banter and the coffee. So yeah, doing good. Got my kiddo cup in from Father's Day. You know, I mean, and sometimes you think about like you have to save these things, but then you have to use these things too, right? Because I always look back at those things that I like thought like I wanted to save, but they're better to use.
Yes.
Because I want to see this when 20 years down the road. But at the same time, I just want to enjoy it now with the effort they put into it and just everything that they put into this here. So I still have my head down, pounding away here on my Instagram live here. So I'm not quite sure what's happening, but if we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. Who knows? But on that fact, we're here with you today. It's Second Cup of Coffee. It is what we learned this week. Did we learn something? Yes.
Yeah. Lots of stuff.
Always learning something.
Always.
That is the exact truth right there. So you want to start? Where do you want to go?
Sure. I definitely learned a little bit more about patience. Hey, Shing. She's like, if you guys are up there, where are my children?
Oh yeah.
So I'm not even going to explain that. So what did I learn today? I learned more about patience and knowing that I need to sometimes let things happen as they're going to happen. And I also learned, I had this epiphany this morning about kind of myself. And so if you're following us, you know that I do affirmations every day. And when I do my affirmations, I put them into my body. I really let them sing, I let them sink, and then I share it with everyone. But if you are a person that affirmations don't work for, instead of telling affirmations, maybe tell yourself a truth. So one of my truths this morning was, I don't know my worth. Period. And I'm working on it. So do you really know your worth? Do I really know my worth? Not all the time. Sometimes I don't feel worthy of really success. And this is kind of the old version of me talking. And sometimes that old version wants to like insert herself back into, I see Jason's face. He's like, really? And yeah, sometimes that the negative mindset, when it takes over, that's the one that takes over. It's the one that tells me I'm not worthy. It's the one that tells me that I don't have what it takes to move forward. So sometimes you have to acknowledge that truth that whatever it is, and then tag on, and I'm working on it. And I'm going to jump over this hurdle by ... And give yourself action steps. Give yourself the ability to get over that hurdle. So again, if affirmations aren't working for you, maybe it's because you haven't acknowledged that, I don't want to say truth, because it's also a lie, because you are worthy. But the thing is, Jason and I can tell you that from here to time immemorial. And sorry, I'm messing up my words because I hear the little guy crying, so I might have to go jump downstairs and help our sitter out. But let that sit with you. Maybe the reason why affirmations don't work is because you have to acknowledge that lie that you're living. Jump over it so you can start affirming the truth that I am worthy. I am worthy of the success. Is it
a lie or is it a roadblock?
In my head, I don't really see the difference, because roadblocks a lot of the times are lies or untruths. Let's not even call it a lie. Let's just say it's an untruth that you've been telling yourself for so long.
A lot of times are hurdles that we're making more of a big deal in, right? And I think the worst case scenario always is the thing that stops us. And it gets to the point where we have this came up, and without allowing us to identify all the potential reasons why this might not happening. And it might be as simple as like, if we didn't get a response from someone that they just haven't had the time to give us a response, but it may come back that the worst possible thing had happened.
Yes.
And
in your head,
you're
like, I must not be worthy for their response, so I'm gonna take it to the umpteenth degree. Whereas if you just, again, with the patience, this is how patience comes in. If if you had just, or if I had just waited an extra few hours, maybe extra few days for that response, my head wouldn't have gone that way. Does that make sense to everyone? You can reply if you'd like.
Yeah, no, it does. And it gets to back to the fact of us putting so much into the response, into our feelings, right? So we need to control the feelings, knowing that we are in control of what we say, what we do, how we feel, and how we act. And if we remember that, then ultimately we're not hinged on the result as where we go, right? And so,
especially if that result is sort of hinged on somebody's reply.
Yeah.
You can't, and we have said this before, you cannot control the things that other people do. You can guide, you can state, you can help, but those things that other people do, that you cannot control their thoughts, their actions, their sentiments. You can only control yourself and your reaction, or reaction to what they do, or your reaction to what they don't do.
So I would maybe a book that would be good is Getting Past No? But it's that part where lots of times we don't want to ask the question because we don't have to get a no. But if we change our minds to think, okay, I potentially need to get 10 no's to get a yes, then instead of avoiding doing it because you are now putting the emphasis on I don't want to know, well, you change that thought track to say, well, I want to know, because the more I heard the word no, well, then I get to the yes, right? So if I open 10 doors and they slam my face 10 times just for the 11th one to be the massive result, and this could be anything, relationships, this could be in starting a business, this can be in you fill in the blank. But if I would tell you that your 11th business, you're going to figure it out and make it happen, would you be so scared to start the first one right here? It's going to maybe be tough, maybe not be ideal, but if there's that point where the long-term success happens a ton when people just put in the work and learn from what they're doing and move forward. But it's the ones who say, oh, I tried that. And I would hear it a lot, like, so I tried it one time,
Just once?
Yeah, but that's seemingly, it's almost like we imagine we just did a test, right? And you just went out there and you said, you ask someone a question and they don't know the answer, and you come back and say, the entire world is stupid because I asked one person and they didn't know the answer. And that's your pool, right, of identifying. Or same thing for yourself, right? So, I tried to ski one time and I couldn't go on double black diamonds. So that skiing thing's not for me. Because I thought I was going to be good enough to go in the Olympics. And we see that a lot with our kids. They like,
we're teaching our children
trying
how
to teach
ride a bike.
Well, the bike would be one, but patience would be another, but anything, right? Like, oh, I'm not good at this. And like first time trying, and that would be like us like throwing an object into a cup from across the room, like something that I'm not going to do. I'm going to get lucky at like my 1 out of 50th time. And then it won't happen again for like another 200. And their first time, like, oh, the world is over. I'm not good at this. I give up. Right. And so Angela Duckworth has a great book, Grit, right, where it's enabling others to learn that you have to sometimes just grit it out, because it's going to allow you to sustain through tougher things in the future. It's going to allow you to just know. And it's like when the kids can't figure out how to put their shoes on, every time that we run over and help them and put their shoes on, there's a point of helping teach them the process. But every time we help them, because they just go, oh, and throw it up in the air, is now building into their life less things that they're going to be able to do, because each time something difficult comes up, they're going to be looking for someone else to reach out their hand and pull them up. And that doesn't mean turn your back on everything, but you have to put them in a position to win, right? Have to put them in a position to win. And by doing that, it's allowing them to take the time to problem solve. What were those kits we got? Kiwi kits? KiwiCo kits?
Yeah, the KiwiCo.
I mean, those are great because they're like STEM kits, and they can do some active learning, right? And it's things where they get all the materials and they can kind of figure out the process, right? And it's that thing with, where you see like parents do like the kids' homework because they want to go to point, like, but the kids can't go anywhere in life because by the time they get out in life and life comes and just, a car goes by and splashes them, with a puddle. Well, it's now the worst thing in the world has happened because they're not ready for diversity. They're not ready for adversity. I said diversity, but adversity and to face difficult situations because it hasn't put in front of us. But it goes that fear of the worst thing happening, right? The worst thing could possibly happen. So I won't try something, even though the worst thing happening, maybe it's like, I won't go outside in the rain because I might get struck by lightning, or I don't fly in planes because, like there was a plane crashed. Okay, can happen, but you have to look at like just life overall.
I was just listening to a podcast that you did with Sam Bakhtiar.
Super cool dude.
He was saying something about the reason why we fall into these bad moods or bad situations, or mostly bad moods, is because we're either stuck in the past or living in the future. And he's not the only one who's ever said that, but it's true. And the only way to really live truly is to be here in the now. So when you're jumping into a new project or learning how to do something new, whether it's for your children or for yourself, live in the now. Know that you don't know everything right now, but you are in it and you're learning it, and you are going to take those next steps that you need to get yourself into the right mindset, into your goal, into ... whatever it is you want to get into. Just don't be stuck in the past version of yourself, and know that that future, that better self is there. It's reachable, but don't concentrate on her or him. Concentrate on you now and how you are going to take that step into the future.
Yeah, I was thinking, and it was phrased differently, a different way, was that if you're living in the past, you're depressed, and if you're living in the future, you're anxious, right? Because you can only deal with it now. And if you're waking up every morning, I'm not a millionaire yet.
What?
Well, what?
Wait,
well, but you haven't taken the steps to figure out even the actual step to it, right? Or I haven't found that perfect person yet, but it's so
that perfect person might actually be right in front of you.
But even the same part,
you can't see them.
But if the stress of it is that, imagine you're putting that stress on someone else, like, okay, perfect person, and but if that's coming into you, like the first time you're starting that relationship and you're going in there, like think about the pressure you're putting out there on someone else, because then another person, they feel that pressure. But it's the same thing and anything on sales or anything else. Like sales, instead of like pushing for the yes, get to know. Okay, get as quick to the no. And that's actually a great sales practice, because why go through a process and stay there for 3 hours when it's a no? Just get out the door in 5 minutes and go on to someone else at a point. Learn the questions that are better, get your sales pitch down, get everything. And that goes through for relationships, the same thing. Like, don't hang in. Like, and we both have been there. Like, we stayed in relationships way too long. Is there a win-win there? No.
You learn,
but at some point, like, it's like if a doorway's too short and you just keep walking, hitting your head every time, you're like, well, I'm learning a lesson, like, oh, that door's too short, and you just keep learning the lesson, like banging your head on the door every time. At some point, you just gotta duck. You gotta duck and go through it, and not just keep banging your head and say, I'm learning the lesson. Like, I'm learning a lesson, boom, learning a lesson, boom, and we're just continuing to. You have to learn a lesson, but then improve from that lesson, right? It's the Einstein philosophy, like, so it's the insanity, like doing the same thing over and over again, assuming a different result. And if you think there's a different result out there in that same thing you're doing, then yes, keep pushing forward. But if it's just something where, and there's a difference between perseverance and then on fearing to look dumb, right?
Yes.
Or fearing to I don't know, not have the identity that you think you're presenting, right?
And that goes back to what I was saying about know your truths. Know that if you're not taking that step forward, why is it? Are you afraid that you're going to look dumb? So say that to yourself. I'm afraid that I'm going to look dumb, that I'm going to look stupid if I take this step forward. And then say, I'm working on it. And we just passed the 15-minute mark.
Yeah.
So if you are working out, which kudos to you if you are, and you're doing it for half an hour, turn around, come back, run back this way, or run back to your house. Don't come to our house, or continue on. But
yeah, we got
15-minute
11 miles in today with Eddie King. You want to come over and do some running, Eddie? Thank you. That was awesome. generally run solo, which is cool. But when I always run with someone, it's always awesome. I rarely do. And every time I'm doing it, I should do it more. So we just got out there, just ran. It's nice to, not have anything to listen to, because I'll run in 3 ways. Barely music ever, mostly podcasts, and sometimes silence. And very rarely, run with someone. But there's always a component where you learn from those things, because at certain times you want to. I remember the first ultra I did, a 50 mile that I was running, and this would be like the resistance point, right? So it's like you're going to face these things, but you're not going to. You're going to predict what's going to be the worst thing, and then other things are going to happen that aren't even associated with you, right? So if you set up your mind to fail in so many ways, then when failure comes up, or the potential for failure comes up, you're going to be weaker to that thought. So I remember the first 50, it was that, I brought headphones to listen to, and they were just the wireless, right? Well, they died. And then I got, because it was about 12,000 feet of elevation, and I got airplane ear in one ear. And then that finally went away, because you could hear every breath I was taking. And this was like 12 hours of running in my head. And then that went away. And then 10 minutes later, I got in the other ear. And then in that fact, for that lasted for a couple hours, and then that went away. And then I got like 20 minutes, like, okay, cool. And then it came back in both ears. But at that time I was like, you know what, whatever, let's run. And I don't prepare for these races, because I've learned that you mentally have to say you're going to get it done. But the 2 things I thought is, okay, I like to run the uphills, don't get my feet wet. And 3rd mile was so steep you couldn't run. And the maybe 6th mile in was a first of 4 rivers we had to cross. So it was one of those things where the 2 things, and it's just, okay, well, the plan's out the window. So what now? Well, I told my mind I'm getting it done. That's the ultimate objective. Okay, so how do I pivot to stay on the road?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's all mindset, because I remember you going into this thing thinking that this is the way it's going to be. But then I knew in my head, I was like, well, if it's not that way, I know Jason will pivot on his own, because he'll just figure it out.
Well, remember how funny this was, is that we woke up that morning getting ready for the race, where we're always like right on time, like right there on time. Like literally, I think I walked up to the start line and they're like, go, but in that fact, we woke up, and what had happened to my shoes? Do you remember?
Oh no, there was we
had a water bag.
Yes.
Yeah, a bag.
Oh, it was the water bag.
A water bag, and it leaked and soaked my shoe. So I'm like, all right, here I go. First thing I'm going to do, and like, because your feet get wet, you get blisters, you get all those other points, so you want to constantly dry your feet. So I had that happen. That was a start. So we're like, okay, get the hair dryer. We'll try and dry my shoe. But things come up, right? It's just, that's life, right? Like things have, and it's a comedy of errors. And most of life is, right? You look back at things and you can laugh at them when they seem like the worst thing at the moment. But you can't freak out, because the freak out part never gets you any result, right? No. Like, so I'm freaking out. Like, who has ever said I freaked out and it made the thing better? Like, I don't think I've heard that. Maybe if someone knows about something that I freaked out about, but when you took your mind calmed down for that moment, it allowed you to
move forward. But the freak out
actionable step.
Yeah, the freak out the freak out is never an actionable step. It's just a reaction to an event. You freak out, and then it's like your visceral reaction, and then you take the next step forward. So, but the thing is, if you had freaked out and you were like, I don't know, mile 10 in, and you were like, oh my goodness, my shoes are wet again.
So a good negotiation tactic here is, when someone throws something at you that's not ideal, our initial reaction is to respond quickly, because we're angry, we want to get back, or to do something back, right? But if you just say nothing, it puts you in a spot, right? Where Peely wants to say something, right? Because that is that awkward silence. So if you just wait, right, you'll find that you can negotiate yourself many different things, and usually a better situation there, because they're going to counter themselves most likely in some fashion, where you just doing that, they're going to feel the impetus that something's wrong, because it's the course of nature to go back and forth, just like a tennis match. But if you just catch the ball and just wait for them to come back to you, and then on that fact, that will give you a trick here but it also allows your mind to rest, because our initial reaction, generally the first thing we think, okay, that's our reaction, but that's not always the best scenario, right? And it goes both ways too, right? If you think so much that you think through every single scenario in the world and you'll never take action, well, then that's the opposite effect. But you have to give it maybe 5, 6 breaths, allow something to come into your mind about, okay, I have A, B, or C. Okay, none of them are ideal. What's the logical step? Move.
I think that's the best course of action for me. If I find myself in like the freak out mode, if something happens, I know I need to take a breath, reevaluate, and then take a step forward. Because if I continuously just react, then it's never going to work.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this was a great Friday.
So I am sleeping outside tonight.
You are sleeping outside tonight.
Yes, this is not because of anything with our marriage, but the kids have convinced me or willed me to a stage here where they've been asking me for weeks into the winter here to sleep outside in a tent. So I give it 3 hours until we hear some animal noises and something happens, or they say the ground's too hard or something on that fact. I'll give it. So, but I'm in for it here. And I think Peely will be in that nice, cozy, warm bed. We're going to be throwing rocks at the window all night. So, this will be fun. We got s'mores to do outside on a fire. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. Maybe we'll dig a little pond in the back and make a fishing pond or something. All these things we should be doing.
If there's anything you do this weekend, please have fun. Have fun. That's it. Yeah.
I think hope you're having some sense of normal. Yeah. I know things aren't ideal, but don't put in this sense. Just go out there and do something that's just something, right? Instead of thinking about what we don't have this weekend. I mean, remember the point of 4th of July in the first place.
There you go. This weekend, don't concentrate on what you don't have. Concentrate on what you do have.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you.
We will see you on Monday when it is weekend recap. Oh, newsletter.
Oh, yes. Our newsletter is coming out on Monday.
Life newsletter is coming out, and it is going to be, well, stellar. But we put it together. But I know it's going to bring massive, massive value. So gonna have on your holding page, place where you subscribe for that. For our email list, gonna go out there. Make sure you check it out. It's got a lot of fun stuff we learn, a lot of fun people we talk to, a lot of things that we're using in our life, and we're excited to get that out there.
And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would do us a whole lot of good. You are all amazing. Thank you so much. Heart you so much.
See you Monday.
So